I'm with Melanie Franklin, who's an expert in business transformation and chief executive of Maven Training Centre. She has many years of change management, project management and general management experience behind her, and encapsulates all of that in her book on business transformation and the toolkit which accompanies the book. Melanie, let's get started. Why a business transformation toolkit?
I think at the end of the day, this is about how do we progress how our organisations need to be. We have an awful lot of people who deliver projects on time and on budget, and they create new deliverables for their organisation. But the whole reason behind those projects is because the organisation needs to be doing something differently. It needs to be servicing a new market or new customers or innovating in some way. And that means changing. It can't be the same organisation. And organisations getting smart. We can't just have deliverables. We need to knit them together, and we need to make these differences happen. We need to realise benefits. And I think that many organisations are now saying we need to be much more professional at the change bit. We're pretty good at managing projects. And so business transformation is a mixture of both project and change management. And it's bringing those together and saying, right, this is how you do it. You might not agree with every single step, but it's a great straw man. I promise you, you use this 4 simple steps: understand, plan, implement, embed. Will get you from idea to actual, we've made a difference.
Okay, so what exactly is the business transformation toolkit?
Well, the key thing with the toolkit was to give people as many hints and tips as possible how to do it. I have read so many change management books, over 80 in the last couple of years, and they're really good at telling me what I should have. I should have a motivated senior management team, I should have a vision, I should have managed the resistance to change so there isn't much resistance. I don't disagree with any of those principles, but as a pragmatist, I need to know how to do it. And in the end, I've written a toolkit for people to be able to pick up and say, I have this problem, how do I solve it? Ah, there's a questionnaire, there's a guideline, there's a checklist, or there's a template that will help me do it. I do a lot of client work, and I have to help organisations transform all of the time. And what I wanted was that tick list that I have with all of the content behind it that I could share with others. And that's really what I've done with this toolkit.
So the toolkit is really a lot more than just a book with a collection of forms at the back.
Yes, it's not one of those bureaucratic, oh, have a read of this and some of it might make sense. I've definitely made it an online version that you can download, and so you can take as much credit for the work as you possibly want to. You can put your own logos on each of the pieces. So if there's a useful checklist that you're using and you want to share with your colleagues, download it from the toolkit, put your own logos on it and distribute it. You can add things, because they're Word files in many cases, so you can add extra questions, you can delete things that you don't think are relevant for you. So it's fully interactive, and it is designed simply to be helpful. It is not to show off that I know something. It's about actually being able to pick it up, use it, and actually go on to the next thing.
So where would the major benefits be to someone who's taking one of these toolkits and is using it?
I think at the end of the day, it's about not having to worry about how to get started. What I'm looking for when I start on an assignment is, how do I approach this? What steps should I take? And what I wanted to give people was the sort of best of breed, from lessons learned from many organisations, approach to how to get started. Probably one of the best examples I can give of the benefits is a recent client example where the head of change management said to me that he'd saved 3 to 4 weeks because he was using the toolkit, so they didn't have to think, right, what's the order of play, what technique should we use, do we have a template for that, let's create a plan for that. It was all in the toolkit. They used about 80% of it. They tailored quite a lot of that to make sure it's relevant for bits of their culture as much as anything. But those 3 to 4 weeks that were saved was also the fact that he's got including himself, there's a team of 6 of them. So it's sort of 4 weeks times 6 people, that's 24 weeks that they wouldn't get back. And he said to me that he expects the same sort of saving to happen later on. At the moment they're at the sort of understand, plan their big transformational change, and when they move into the implementation side, having looked at the toolkit, he says, I think we'll save quite a lot of time when we get to that bit in about 9 months' time. So I think there's a real pragmatic answer there about it saves time. I have a lot of experience in working with methods and structures, and whilst I want people to be innovative and creative, one thing I do know is that if you give people a route map like the toolkit, they understand all the steps on the journey. They can then choose for themselves not to take certain steps. They can add in extra steps, but the one thing they absolutely know is how to get from A to B, and that gives them a great deal of confidence, and it saves time because they know, I get this, I get the bigger picture, I can get on with this now. So I think it's the time saving in very practical terms, but also the confidence building, and this is worthwhile, we should do this, and somebody else has done this, so I'm sure it works. I think there's confidence.
I guess the other area it must save time for organisations is in that a terrible problem of going down a dead end and starting off to do something that you think will work and discovering after a week or 2 weeks of effort with the team involved that actually it hasn't produced the results that you want. So I guess your toolkit must save a lot of time and effort there.
I think that opportunity cost is very costly on a change initiative, not just because you can't afford the time to go down a dead end, but also you can't afford to make those kinds of mistakes when many people perhaps aren't in favour of your change, and there is an inbuilt resistance to change, and so any of those dead ends just give people the impetus to say we shouldn't be doing this change at all. So I'm always very conscious that nothing's ever perfect, and we want to minimise any mistakes that we make so that we don't create that sort of negative impression. I think some of the feedback I've had from other clients who use this toolkit is that it's about confidence in that they can go into various meetings and say, we're going to do this, this, this and this. It's all laid out, they're absolutely happy, they haven't had to invent it, but they're coming across to their stakeholders as they're in charge, they're organised, they know what they're doing. And I think that certainly helps minimise resistance to change.
Okay, so how would somebody go about using the toolkit? They download it and then what?
Well, the first question to ask, and it's actually one of the downloads in the first section, which is about understanding the change, is first of all a little questionnaire on where you are. You need to pinpoint your own situation. Because in some cases you might want to skip some of the understanding and assessing techniques because you've got a fully formed change. You don't have to do much analysis because your senior management team have given it to you and you need to be off and running. So you need to jump straight into the planning. But at least you can look back and double check. Yeah, I do have all this information, I should move on. Or if not, you can fill in the gaps. So it's all about working out where you are in the life cycle of change. When I wrote the Managing Business Transformation Practical Guide, I set out a 4-step life cycle, business change life cycle. Very simply, understand, plan, implement and embed. And I think that gives you the background reading really to the toolkit. But you don't need both, but that gives you a sort of an overall explanation. But certainly the first job is to find out where you are, and then you pick the tools and techniques and checklists and templates that are appropriate to your situation. In other situations, I think the planning section gets people off and running very quickly, and I think another benefit of the toolkit is that it helps people with what I refer to as the planning paradox. We have senior managers who recognise the importance of a properly planned initiative, but actually don't give us the time to do it. And there is lack of respect sometimes for researching and investigating how to do things. People want action. It might not be the right action, but we tend to reward action over thinking. And so recognising that is very true in organisations today. I think the toolkit tries to help you minimise the amount of time you need for your own planning. It gives you a sort of get off and running.
Okay, so clearly substantial benefits in the toolkit. What does one need to be able to use it? Is it do you need special software or something to run the toolkit? How does it actually operate?
No, nothing at all, because the checklist and the questionnaires all written in Word, because you can pick those up and then, as I said earlier, you can get rid of some of the questions or you can add your own. So it's all very simple. There are a number of templates that are also written in Word. I get quite annoyed about templates because I often get sent templates for various documents, but all they have is the headings and blank pieces on them, but no explanation. So wherever I've done a template, I've also done a guideline document that really explains what the content should be under each of the headings. And also I've linked that guideline to any of the relevant other tools in the toolkit. So if you're not sure how to fill in the content, I'll also point you to the right tool for it. But generally speaking, everything is in Word or it's in PowerPoint. We've PDF'd a few documents just so you can bring all of the pieces together and they're easier to print, but you've still got all the source documents. So really simply, you can run it on any kind of laptop, any computer in the office.
What would be your top reasons for someone to buy and deploy this toolkit?
I think number one, increase your own professionalism. Get to understand, how do I plan and implement a change initiative? There's a huge amount of talk about this in the market these days. That's what organisations want you to be able to do. So improve your own professionalism, your own skills. You'll find that you can claim lots of credit, you can download it and call it your own, so that will get you off and running. Number two, buy the toolkit, because by investigating what's going on, it will build your confidence. You will know how to run a change initiative. And I think number three, get it because you can get off and running, save time, start work and start delivering things for the people that employ you.
Sounds fabulous. How does one get a copy?
Nice and simply, you download it from IT Governace, so my publishing partner who know all about these sorts of things.
Okay, so effectively, if you're in charge of a business transformation project, you need this toolkit and you need it today.